This story happened a long time ago. I had an out-of-body experience, and not long after what I refer to as a waking dream. The out-of-body experience happened one night. It was a full moon. I was walking up on the ridge, and I was suddenly above myself, about 100 metres in the air, looking down on myself. It was an exhilarating experience, although it was very short. But I felt completely located in time and space. I don't know how else to describe it. The waking dream happened on the 9th of August, 1976. I know this because I wrote it down in my journal. It was memorable, vivid, but short. I was flying, like Superman. As in my out-of-body experience, I was about 100 metres off the ground, looking down on the road that leads into town. I became aware that I was on a collision course with someone else. And with this awareness, I began to straighten up in the air and spread out my arms and legs. And the person I was colliding with did exactly the same thing. We collided in slow motion without any sort of major impact. The point of impact was our belly buttons, and from between us came a stone. All my attention was focused on the stone, which fell to the ground on the road and rolled in a sort of wobbly way along the road like a wheel, but in a very wobbly fashion, out towards the mountains where I am now. It soon came to a culvert which had water in it and went off to the side of the road and flopped down in the water. But I paid very close attention to the stone. I could see it close up. That was it. That was the end of my waking dream. I thought, well, I should have a look when next I go to town. A few days later I did go to town, but I forgot. I was coming back out, and as I went through Flaggy Creek, I remembered. So I stopped the car, got out, walked back, and there it was. It was unmistakable. There was nothing particularly special about it, but it was a stone that I had seen in this waking dream. And for that reason, I felt somewhat elated. An extraordinary kind of gift from the dream world, whatever that is. I bent down, picked it up, and the moment I touched it, I had sharp pains down the right side of my body with 3 points. Often, if I'm in an impossible situation or I have no idea what to do, I pretend as if I know what to do. And this is what I did. I put the stone in the back of my ute, drove out here and put the stone in water. And the moment I did, the pain stopped. The water was in a bath that was beside a shed that I'd built to catch rainwater. Some days later, and it was days, not weeks, there was a series of lightning strikes, which were remarkable in that they were like columns of lightning coming up out of the ground. One of them caught this shed, and it collapsed on the bath. Perhaps a year later, I cleared the wreckage and retrieved the stone. This time there was no pain, and I took a photo of it. But I didn't know what to do with it, so it just sat around. Years passed, and during that time I began to think that the stone was somehow malignant and was in some way doing me harm. So one day I took it back to Flaggy Creek, put it down. Days later, and it was days, not weeks, there was a huge downpour, a flood, and I felt an extraordinary relief that somehow whatever this was over. About a decade passed, and during that time I began to regret taking the stone back. So one day I went and looked for it, and I walked down Flaggy Creek, and there, about 25 metres down the creek, was the stone, unmistakable. So I picked it up, this time again no pain, brought it back here, and I didn't really know what to do with it, but I decided to put it in a hollow tree up near the spring, pretty much below where I'd had my out-of-body experience. I can't remember how long it was later, but it was, I think, days, not weeks. The tree was struck by lightning and burnt, not to the ground, but frazzled, and it had twisted around the stone in such a way you could still get it out, but it was more difficult. Again, more than a decade passed, when the fire came. The fire burnt what was left of the tree, but still the stump remains, and the stone is still there. What does it all mean? I don't know. This is 47 years later. I always think of myself in relation to the stone. It's as though I'm in orbit around it, no matter where I am, no matter how far away I am. It's always there, and it's a sort of centre. And in a way, it's part of my relationship with this place. I don't know what it means, and nor do I feel as though I need to know. But somehow it's become part of my own story, the story of the stone.